Okay, we come back to the lesson plan and the initial lesson plan and the introduction of the year, and simply for you to understand what sort of approach we're going to have, or I suggest having. I'm open to suggestions, of course. Um, the next thing you have here is year overview, but I'm not going to stop there because if you take a look at that link, you will see that it's clear and it's simply my groups, my schedule, important information, which is some of it is the OneDrive folder I told you about before, POOK information about last year. There is nothing, I think, to add about that. Take a look, and if you should have any questions, just ask me, and I will be delighted to answer them. I am going to skip this, and I'm going to click on lesson structure. The way I have planned the lesson this year, or the lessons this year, is the following. So I have mapped the week or the sessions in the week. There are 2 sessions in the week, and to make sure that the scope is comprehensive enough, what I have done is I have based each session on a different thing. During the first session, we will do a focus on use of English. I think use of English is very important, and you will see how I am planning to deal with it in a later clip. So I am thinking, or I have planned to devote the first session to use of English, and the second session will be focused on skills. In focus on skills in ordinary courses, there are some activities that I will prepare to do in the classroom. I have also prepared them for you, and they are part of the assignments that I posted in Teams. The listening, you will find that there is a listening, a link to a listening, and then there is the transcript and the key. And simply you have to try to do it and check whether you did it well or not, how many mistakes. I am not going to track how many times you tried or the score. You can come do that yourself. If it is a 65%, if it were a book, you would certify. If it is a 50%, you would get an average with the rest of skills. If you like, I will explain that later. If it is less than a 50, you fail. I mean, you can do that yourselves. But I wouldn't like to be such a big brother to take on such a big brother attitude on you. That's not the point. I don't think that's the point. So in the listening, you have a link to the listening and to the audio and to the script and the key. And the same with the reading. And with the writing, here you can see that we only have 3 skills, but the thing is that I have planned it taking into account the 4 weeks of the month. I mean, during odd weeks, I mean 1 and 3. This is what we will do. The first part of the class will be listening, the second part will be writing, and the last part will be reading. And during the the other way around, even weeks of the month, I mean the second and the 4th week, my plan is doing a listening. We will do a listening every week. Or you will do a listening, because my intention is to leave these materials for the online lesson. And okay, you see that we will have focus on speaking, but when I say focus on speaking, it does not necessarily mean that we are not going to do any speaking during the on-site session, which is the first one. I will come to that session later. That's why I'm starting with the second, because it's the online one. It means speaking from the point of view of la POOK. I mean, a POOK-based, focused, orientated speaking mock exam. That's what I mean. So we will deal with the for example, I will give you a monologue, I will give you vocabulary, topic-based vocabulary. That's the only topic-based section that I have because I don't like basing everything on topics. I mean, what really tells me your level is not how many words about this topic you know. Sometimes it's not about that. You will see how I give you a monologue on the environment, and sometimes you have to express more on people's attitudes than on environment, really. So it is that expression that you have, the one that tells me whether your level is C1 or not. We will talk about that at some other point. More than the topic base, which doesn't mean that it's not important. It is important, but not so relevant from my point of view as another kind of linguistic strategy that betrays your real level. And mediation, we will practice mediation. I will give you, for example, different scenarios. You will have to tell me whether different uh, pieces of information should be in or out of your performance. And then I will give you the information literally, and you will have to rephrase it. So we will train a little bit with the skills. And that's what I was planning to do, to ask you to do at home. So on odd weeks, 1 and 3, listening, writing, and reading. On even weeks, listening, speaking, and mediation. And now let's come back to the first session. In the first session will be divided into 3 different parts. The first part being input and discovery. What do I mean by that? In the first part, we will practice with language. So I might give you a pack of activities based on a video, and then from there we will take the expressions or vocabulary or that has to do with mainly with the area that the issue of the magazine is dealing with. For example, the second issue is dealing with awareness and insight, which means vocabulary that has to do with understanding, realizing, learning. For example, it dawned on me when I saw him at the table with that lady, it dawned on me that he had been unfaithful to me for such a long time. What does that mean? What does it dawned on me? I started to understand then what the real situation was for the first time. That's why I say dawn, as if it were a sunrise. It's a metaphor. We will talk about metaphors too. So ways in which I say that if you say, it dawned on me, obviously, you sound more like a C1 student than if you say, I understood. When I saw him with the guy, I understood that. I knew that that's much more common. It's not wrong, but it's much more common, and it doesn't allow you to demonstrate that your level is C1. And at the exam, you have a quarter of an hour, half an hour to do that. You have to demonstrate that you have C1 or you are C1 level students. So the first part will be that input and discovery, meaning we will deal with language and I will give you a linguistic context where that language appears. In the second part, it's practice and challenge. Why do I say that? Because we are going to practice the vocabulary or the grammar, the linguistic strategies, as I like to call it, that we have introduced in the first part, and the linguistic strategies that we might have introduced in previous lessons. I will mix it all, and we will do some kind of quiz or contest or game. I have planned games. We might, for example, play a board game, but I won't make it so easy because I will be boycotting the game every now and then, posing a challenge. And if you do not do the challenge well, you will be penalized in the game. Or if you do it well, you will be rewarded, or I will give you more time. We will see to that depending on the game. And then the last part is performance and expression, free speech. So, for example, Whereas in the first part, we spoke about packs of activities based on a video where there is a warm-up speaking activity that will be short, which will be short, not very short, but shortish in a way. And we will deal with vocabulary in this last part of the session. And God willing, I do my timing properly. I will ask for your help because I'm very bad at that. Okay, we will do what I call performance and expression, drama in the classroom, which means I will give you a scenario, for example, a radio program, or the other ones that I like best, the radio program, or verdict, which is we are a jury deliberating, and I give you a case. And we have to decide whether the defendant is guilty or not guilty. Or, for example, this is a board meeting at a school, and we have to decide whether the new policy or how the new policy, which the authorities have forced us to apply, will be, how they will be implemented, or they will be implemented, or it will be implemented. How we can implement that new policy or those new policies that we have been asked to apply, to implement. So there will be a scenario, and it will be group speaking, but it will be free speaking. Whereas in the first part, it will be guided speaking. We will move within the domain of sentences. I mean, one of the things that I like doing is proposing what I call transfers. We will talk about that at some other point. Transfers, which is I give you the idea in Spanish, and I will ask you to transfer it to English. See one way, I mean, how would you transfer it to English? Or for example, and this year I have a new thing that I would like to do, and I will tell you why. But this is what I do. I mean, I give you an idea. This is my favorite exercise. I give you an idea, and you have to pass it to English. For example, es probable que haya dos. This is a stupid sentence, but never mind. Dos huelgas la semana que viene. Okay. If you tell me probably there will be two strikes next week, is that wrong? No, that's not wrong. That's not wrong. But if you say it is likely that there will be two strikes next week, it's a little bit more complex. It's not only probably, it is likely that. Okay. But if I compress the sentence, and I avoid having two subjects when I can have one, and I say, there are likely to be two strikes next week, my level keeps increasing because the sophistication of my language is higher. So, depending on which one you choose to transfer it into, your level will be lower, mid, or higher. So that's the trap in which most of the times students fall. And that's what I'm going to try to help you with. This concerning range, but that comes accuracy. It's not only having range, but being accurate with complex and not so complex structures. I mean, a simple inaccuracy can cost us quite a high price, and that's what we have to avoid. So that will be trained in the first part, the second will be practice, and the last will be free speech. Free speech. Just pour it out. Pour it out. So this is the way in which I'm going to structure the lessons, and I hope it will work.